Whitaker challenges all Republicans for Senator Harkin's seat. Today, Tom Coates and I talk to the potential senator live here on The View from a Pew.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. It's the 6th day of August in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy along with Tom Coates today on The View from a Pew, and our very special guest is live via phone today because he is campaigning. Is that the right word? You're campaigning?
Oh, yeah. I am campaigning. I've been in Trainer, Council Bluffs, and we're heading to Atlantic right now.
Do folks in Council Bluffs, do they really feel like they're part of Iowa or part of Nebraska?
Oh, they feel like they're part of Iowa.
Do they? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I always wondered if folks from Council Bluffs would rather be Nebraskans than Iowans. So what are you finding is the heartbeat of Iowans out there? What's the top 2 or 3 things that folks are concerned with?
They're concerned with the size, scope, and role of the federal government. They are concerned about electing a candidate that doesn't stand on principle. They want a candidate who stands on principle, and they want to examine those principles. And then finally, is they really don't want someone that's just going to become part of Washington, D.C. The subject of things like term limits and connection to the real world have come up many times.
Well, and you've been, I'm not going to say you've been in politics, but as the former, now help me out, Attorney General?
U.S. Attorney.
No.
U.S. Attorney.
United States Attorney for the Southern District of Iowa. And by the way, hi, Tom.
How you doing, Matt?
Good, I'm doing well.
Good. Hey, Matt, how many have officially thrown their hat into the ring to primary to become the Republican candidate for the seat?
I think we're up to 5, maybe 6. I'm kind of losing count.
Do you have names? Because I don't know all the names.
Well, there's this guy that is probably the best known and most competitive candidate named Matt Whitaker.
Yes, and we know about Matt.
I hear he's running a really good campaign. He's a full-spectrum conservative, and he's going to be competitive, and he's going to hold Bruce Braley accountable to his votes in the general election. And then there's a whole bunch of other candidates. We have Senator Grassley's former chief of staff.
Okay.
His name's David Young.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a state senator named Joni Ernst.
Okay.
And there's a college professor and radio talk show host named Sam Clovis.
I've heard him a little bit on. I've heard him on Jan Michelson on WHO. He's been on there a couple times.
Right, and then there is a guy named Scott Shaban, who I don't know if he's still working or was working in the new car business up in Ames.
Okay, what's the last probable date that you could get some entrance in here to? Is there a definite date, or is there just a practical date when you could still head into that race and have a chance to be a competitor?
There's a filing deadline in next March where you have to present so many signatures to be on the ballot, and then practically, I don't know. I would assume that's the real date. I don't know if there will be people in and out of the race or not.
Early mid-fall, I think mid-fall might be as late as you'd probably want to enter that race and still have a chance to try to build some momentum. What do you think, Mac?
When is the election? What's the date of the election?
June 3rd is the Republican primary of 2014.
All right, June 3rd, and then obviously sometime in November is the
first Tuesday in November for the general.
June 3rd. Well, is it usual for this many candidates to be out politicking almost a year in front of the primary?
No, it's not, especially if you have candidates that aren't as well known as others. I mean, there's just the basic blocking and tackling of running a campaign, and this is a big state. I continue to find that out everywhere I go, whether I was up in Hardin County over the weekend or I'm in Muscatine tomorrow or over here in western Iowa. It's a big state, and there's a lot of miles, and you just have to, in order to do the work you need to do, you need time.
Okay, all right. How many times, though, do we get a U.S. Senate seat totally open? Now, we've had, elections where Harkin and Grassley stand for re-election, but it's generally some kind of a sacrificial lamb that's being thrown into the slaughter. When was the last time we had a seat totally open without an incumbent?
It was, I want to say it was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
My political history as it relates to the U.S. Senate is a little sketchy before I was in grade school.
Yeah, it was somewhat rhetorical because, we don't get a U.S. Senate seat up, so it's a big deal. And there is a possibility, Matt, some people believe, that the Republicans, especially with a decliningly, unpopular president and some things we may talk about later in the show, might have a shot to retake and reclaim the U.S. Senate. That would be a huge deal, wouldn't it?
Yes, that would be a huge deal, and there's a lot of belief that this particular seat may be the 51st seat. So, yes.
51st, meaning your seat would break the balance?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yeah, 50-50, we're still in trouble because then Biden splits the difference and would cast a deciding vote and still keep the Democrats in the power.
Matt Whitaker is on the phone, former U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Iowa, a star football player, a great family man. What do you got? 4 kids, 3 kids?
I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
And 15, 12, and 9.
And so, you've got some questions there, Tom. Go ahead and get through with that.
You're going to get into your old football buds. I think you're in Atlantic. How about Ed Podolak? You going to come and do some campaigning for you?
We're going to get several of my friends, both from Iowa and Iowa State, to help us out. But obviously, that's just a small part of who I am and what I'm about. The football piece, I think, demonstrates my commitment to hard work and perseverance and the like. And, Mac knows this, but obviously I didn't play beyond college, but I used my college scholarship that I got from Coach Fry to graduate from undergrad in 3.5 years. And then my senior year playing for the Hawkeyes, I was actually enrolled in both the MBA program and the law school. And that's very few people have done that. And I don't recommend it, having done it myself.
Well, and I could care less whether you played for the Hawkeyes or the Cornhuskers or any other team, but I think you're right, Matt. And if I can just be so bold to say this, being a college standout athlete and getting your MBA at the same time is a reflection upon your integrity, how hard you're willing to work, your sacrifices that you'll do to achieve those things that you feel are important for you, your family, or in this case, the state of Iowa. So I honor your days, not because you were a star, but because you worked so hard and it was so much in the public.
Well, that's a good point, Mac, but you cannot discount, hopefully, the advantage that you might have, because we're coming into the football season anyway, and there's an awful lot of Hawkeye football fans out there that will remember you, and I would think that would help you greatly establishing your name recognition in a crowded primary fight, Matt.
That's what I expect, but obviously I need to be a candidate of substance and more than just a former Iowa football player, and that's, obviously my service as United States Attorney is going to inform some people as to what I'm about, and then also being a small business owner and being, sort of somebody that is paying for my, employees' health insurance, paying for my own health insurance. I mean, I'm in the real world right now dealing with the real issues and the real burdens that the federal government places on small business owners.
Well, and there's some issues that I do want to get to. One of the things that popped up just yesterday, very topical, was Plebis made in essence a demand of NBC and CNN that they not run these fluff pieces, these movies, these mini-series on Hillary trying to lay the groundwork for her presumed 2016 candidacy. Said we will not, as a Republican Party, be participating in any debates held on your networks if you go ahead with these. What do you think of that strategy?
Well, I mean, it was. I thought it was a good strategy. It was good to let it be known that we don't, CNN and NBC, we don't trust you to be fair and unbiased, and we control who gets to cover our debates. And if you're going to provide essentially free, positive media to the likely Democrat nominee for 2016. We have some cards to play here. So I think it made a lot of sense as I heard it. Well,
it did. And of course, we have no illusions to the objectivity of these medias. A lot of us think that second debate with Romney-Obama, Candy Crowley moderated, was an unfortunate turning point in the Romney momentum that was being built. Right. So we have no illusions to the kind of intent and power that we've vested them with. I think it'd probably be a good idea just to pull out and not involve ourselves in any of these, these charades in the future. But maybe by laying it down and let the American public better understands what's going on by this gauntlet that was laid down by Priebus yesterday.
Right. I don't agree with you. I mean, I agree with you, Tom.
Okay. Well, some people just say we just ought to pull out, but I think this lays it out more clearly for the American people. Go ahead, Mac.
Matt Whitaker is on the phone with us. He is a candidate for Senator Tom Harkin's seat. Is there a better
seat, Mac?
What?
It is Iowa
seat. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in fact, as I was saying that, I just thought to myself, it's the one of the two Iowa seats. But
it seems like a Grassley and a Harkin seat because most of us have been around for so long, we don't remember anybody else in those seats.
Yeah.
Hardly.
Well, when I graduated from high school, I just had my 25-year high school reunion, and those were my senators.
Yeah, I mean, I go back a little further than you, Matt, but for most of my adult life, that's who's been in those seats. And so what Max said, I think, is kind of a general idea. Now, do you think that imputes value to if you win the primary, you're going to probably be up against Bruce Braley. Now, Braley is the only announced candidate of any consequence on the Democrat side. I think that Tom Vilsack could have had that nomination with a snap of his fingers and passed on it, and then Braley jumped in. Why do you think that Tom Vilsack wasn't interested in becoming a U.S. Senator?
I can't speak for him, but what I do know is it's going to be a very competitive general election, and there are no certainties in who's going to win. The national mood at the time of the election will have an impact in the race. So I think if I'm somebody that's very comfortable in Washington, D.C., I'm not sure I want to roll the dice and take my chances.
Yeah, Governor Vilsack was on with Dave Price a few months ago on Dave's show,
right.
And he just kind of laughed and he said, I've got so much I can do as head of the ag department for the state of Iowa and other agricultural-based states that becoming a U.S. senator is just something I'm not interested in.
I don't think he wants to be a senator or a House member. I think he wants to be an administrator, and I think that only after he's out of his position right now, it only leaves one spot for him. That's the governor's seat again, and I don't think he wants to run up against Terry Branstad, so he'll wait 4 more years past that.
Matt, you hang on. We're going to take our first break. We'll be back with Matt Whitaker, kind of hear some of the topics that he thinks are important to Iowans, and most importantly, with Matt, we'll always get the straight scoop. So that's next. Live here on The View from a Pew on 99.3 KTIA, powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the Home Comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I am administrative manager
I am the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
21 minutes after the hour on this 6th day of August in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is The View from a Pew on Tuesday. Tom Coates in the house, and on the phone with us live from Council Bluffs is Senate candidate.
Hopeful.
Well, he's a candidate.
Well, he's a candidate, and he's a hopeful for the to be the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate seat here in Iowa.
And recent polls show I'm the front runner too. So there you go.
Yeah, well, you got to worry about those polls, though. You know.
Well,
Matt
that's good.
Whitaker's his
That's
name,
good,
and
Matt.
he's on
What
the
does the
phone.
poll show? I didn't see the poll. How much of a lead do you have?
The polls show there was a Quinnipiac poll and a public policy poll that show I have twice as much name ID as anyone else in the race.
Great.
This is around the 4th of July, and that I'm the only candidate within single digits to Bruce Braley in a head-to-head.
Oh, super. And we got to beat him now.
Start.
One of the things that you mentioned, you touched on, I touched on, let's go back to it. Barack Obama, and I think that his status when we come into this general election next year is going to be a key to what kind of coattails or reverse coattails that he has. He described the situation in Washington as phony scandals the other day. We've got the IRS, which people understand and feel strongest about. We've got Benghazi, 4 lives lost and no decent response. Stuff coming out on these things now. The NSA, the spying on the citizens, and that's continuing to bubble up, from all sorts of sources now. I want to get your take, because all these things could get hit. They could have major impact. They're trying to keep them covered up. They've got the Benghazi people every week, Matt. They're doing polygraphs to make sure they're not talking. They're trying to change names. They're keeping them hidden. These are major scandals that are out here brewing. I'm going to get your take on what he described as phony scandals.
I don't think any of those things you just mentioned are phony scandals. The thought that the IRS can target individuals because of their political views is chilling on political speech generally, and it really gives me grave concern. We don't have answers there. We need to ask the tough questions to get the answers. Benghazi, the same way. We have U.S. citizens, patriots that died, and their parents don't have answers. Their family don't have answers. Nobody can seem to even know what happened or why it happened. I mean, I knew, as a lot of you knew, that when they came out and said a YouTube video caused this spontaneous riot, that something didn't add up.
Mm-hmm.
I went, probably like you did, I went and watched the video they described, and there was no way that was going to incite that type of sustained violence that we saw in Benghazi. So that's not a phony scandal. And then the NSA spying on American citizens and collecting all sorts of data on who law-abiding citizens are calling in their everyday jobs, we need answers on that. And that is not a phony scandal. So it is the typical playbook of nothing to see here, 24-hour news cycle, let's try to get beyond this, when we don't have any answers, Tom. And I just, as a former prosecutor, my job was to hold people accountable and to go where the evidence led. And we need people with courage in Washington, D.C. to demand the answers, and I know we have some that are trying to get to the bottom of these various situations, but we just don't have answers. And it's called phony scandals, I think, insults Americans' intelligence.
Amen. And we just came out some more information the other day on Benghazi. Apparently, there were a number of CIA operatives, some assets right in that immediate area, and they were all told to stand down. We had assets that could have come in over the air. The one SEAL that was in was signaling with his laser, expecting an airstrike. None was allowed. We had Obama going to bed, get up early to fly to Vegas the next morning to do a fundraiser for his campaign. Now it comes out that perhaps Valerie Jarrett called the tune on that, and Panetta perhaps followed her lead to not allow anybody in to try to rescue those men.
Right, and it's a shame. It's a shame. We lost the U.S. ambassador, and that's a big deal.
Well, it is, and it's acted like you say, nothing to see here, move along, folks. And this is something, if we had a decent press, we'll go back to my comment about NBC and CNN and the others. If we had decent press or a Republican president, one of the two, we would be clamoring for answers long ago, and it would have been a factor in the last election. I think Obama skated through the last election with these things brewing, and the press did not want to hold him accountable at all. Am I correct in that? Matt? Do we lose Matt?
Hello?
Dan, that's your fault.
Yeah, we may have,
It was a rhetorical question, Mac. Do you have any thoughts on what I just said?
Okay. We'll get Matt back right away.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? One of the things that was going through my mind is I always try to be unbiased when it just comes down to whether it's a D or an R.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't like those people that if all of a sudden, they love Tom Coates one day and the next day Tom switches parties and now they hate Tom Coates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that kind of stuff. But I lived through the Clinton era. I lived through the Johnson era. I lived through the Carter era. And I have never in my life remembered a time in which the president's integrity and his administration has been challenged so often. I mean, even with Nixon, there was one thing that Nixon did. They figured it out, and they made him resign.
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't a single life lost.
And it was the cover-up. It wasn't that second-rate burglary. It was the cover-up. Remember, Mac?
Right.
And there is a ton of cover-up on some of these scandals going on right now.
And
now,
so-
will the cover-ups catch this guy up?
Catch
Obama up and his people.
My concern is that yes, the answer is yes. My concern is that it won't happen during his presidency. That this is going to get stalled and pushed and waited and set aside until after Hillary is running for president. Whoever wins that presidency, Hillary's got it's got something in Benghazi. You know?
Oh yes.
She's got some. What's the word I want? She's got some.
Well, she's got culpability.
Yes,
absolutely does have culpability, and that mini tirade that she gave on the in front of the House.
What does
panel,
it matter?
Yeah. Well, what difference does it make now? And what does it matter? So she, when you poke the bear and you hit a nerve, I think that we were hitting a nerve on that, and I think that will eventually probably rise back up and cost her support.
Yeah, but I think she's got. We as Americans have to get this Benghazi thing done before we enter into the elections. I don't think we can sit here and elect a president in 2016 if we still have Benghazi sitting out there and people wondering about it. We've got Matt Whitaker back on the phone now.
Hey, I'm sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Hit that bad cell patch over by Cass County.
Oh,
we blame Dan on that anyway.
We blamed our producer. The conversation we were having while you were gone, and I'd be interested to get your feedback. Whether it's the NSA, whether it is the IRS, whether it is Benghazi, Obama's going to push these things as far as they can outside of 2016. Maybe there's a scandal, maybe it's not, but he's going to make sure that those things aren't figured out till he's out of office. I don't think we can do that with Benghazi because Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State.
Right, and the answers are available if they would just give us the information. I mean, you can't. We know what happened. There were people there, and the interviews, my understanding, have been mostly conducted. And we have to understand what happened. If nothing else, is to understand that, make sure it doesn't happen again.
The one of the conversations that's going on socially is that we were supplying arms to the Syrian rebels.
That's what the CIA operatives perhaps were doing on the ground, Matt. That's speculation now. That's why so many CIAs were in Benghazi at the time. They were covertly running perhaps some of the same arms we ran into the rebels in Libya up to Syria to supply them. That, again, I don't know if that's been at all proven, but that's some of the speculation on why so many CIA operatives were in that town at that point.
Right.
Well,
that's fraught with peril because there are people in those countries, Syria and Libya, that shouldn't have American paid for arms. That don't they don't see the world the same way we do. So
yeah.
I think it's very hard to differentiate between who's going to be friendly to us and who's not.
Well, we have clearly seen some turnover there. This Arab Spring that Obama wanted to brag about has turned it over from stable forces. We may have not liked Gaddafi. The Egyptian President Mubarak was not a nice guy, but he was a stable trading partner and he was a stabilizing influence in that area. And you can see what's happened in both those areas. And I don't know that Syria is going to be any better. We don't like the guy in Syria, but it looks like Al Qaeda is going to take over for him if he's deposed. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess that's what I was trying to get to. You look at Egypt, like you mentioned, the Muslim Brotherhood took over. Now the military's taken over again from the Muslim Brotherhood. Libya, the Al Qaeda had influence, and you're going to see that vacuum in Syria. That those that are that want to take over the instruments government and put in a Muslim state, fundamentalist Muslim state, are going to have a voice now, and we've seen that turns out with bad results. But we keep helping that happen, it seems.
Well, we keep claiming we're wanting to have democracy practiced over there. and yet the Muslims, the radical Islams, want to do just the opposite. I mean, whatever freedoms they've been able to gain in recent years are going to be taken away by a totalitarian regime.
Yeah,
Matt,
we have some real risks in those areas of the world, and I think President Obama needs to explain better as to what his vision for those countries would be.
Okay, yeah. Well, of course, he says one thing, and what he does is something else. And we've learned that about the man long ago. That, in fact, some people speculated, Matt, and this might come into your wheelhouse, the whole Zimmerman Trayvon Martin hoopla that Obama and his attorney general were practicing with some of their surrogates on that whole thing was trying to divert attention from some of these quote phony scandals.
Yeah, I followed that, like I think a lot of Americans did, and really never could understand, what the media was trying to tell us that case was about was really never what it was about, and it did feel like they tried to divert our attention to that case and situation and away from some of these other situations. But for some reason, early in that case, the media decided that was a high-profile enough case, and I still, as I look at it, I mean, it's a case that it sounds like the prosecutor never wanted to bring it. The evidence came in favorable to the Zimmerman defense, even in the direct case the government tried to put on. So it just seemed, it really. It made you scratch your head as you were watching it as to what was going on with this.
All right, Matt, you hang on. We're going to take our second break, and we'll be right back. And when we get back, let's shift talk to Iowa. And I want Matt to share with us some of the vision he has as a senator from the state of Iowa when he gets to Washington in about a year. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Tom Coates is in the house, Father Tattoo producing, and I thank you for listening to The View from a Pew on KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studio, this is Webcast One Live.
The dawn of a new era begins.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling.
We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
We're the ones in the pew, not pulpit. Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
Okay, 22 before the top. Salem Radio Network News at 4. And then, of course, it's Michael Mudloff from West Kirk Presbyterian Church with True Blue. On the phone with us today is Matt Whitaker. He is running for the Senate seat in the election next year that has been vacated by somebody who should have walked a long time ago, but hearken,
Well, we agree.
We
agree.
I still look at that man's bank balance and don't understand how he became a millionaire as a state senator.
I'm grateful, but I'm still surprised he's walking away. Usually these guys don't give up the reins of power until it's pulled from their cold, dead fingers. So Matt touched on term limitations earlier. I think that has to go hand in hand if we ever get to that point of campaign finance reform and doing away with some of the lobbyists. So, Matt, do you have any thoughts in regards to your platform? How are you going to differentiate yourself perhaps from your primary opponents, and then certainly if you win that, your general opposition? What's your platform going to consist of here for the state of Iowa?
Right. My platform is I'm going around and talking to folks in the state of Iowa about the federal government is too large, it's out of control, it needs to be reined in and brought back to being accountable to the people. I mean, I think we have bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. that the Congress has completely offloaded much of their legislative powers to. And this permanent bureaucracy is affecting Iowa farmers, affecting Iowa small business owners, and they justify their jobs, it appears, by just writing more regulations. So it's bringing the federal bureaucracy and the size and scope and role of government back to the limited powers contained in the Constitution.
Amen.
So
amen. I
think
one. That's a top one. Okay, what would be a number two?
Well, I mean, bringing really common sense solutions to the issues of the day, and that could include sort of bringing an Iowa common sense approach to immigration reform, an area that, as U.S. Attorney, I spent a lot of time working on and prosecuting cases in. I think it cannot go without saying that the long-term budget deficits and long-term debt has to be reconciled. We just can't give future generations $17 trillion in ever-growing debt.
Well, 17 trillion scratches the surface of it, Matt. I saw an article just today on one of the websites said closer to 70 trillion plus is actually the indebted amount when we start adding in the unfunded entitlement programs like Social Security, Medicare, and you go on down the line. Let's pull it back for just a second, because immigration is one of those things I had noted I wanted to visit with you about, and you've got some background. What, in your mind, should be an immigration policy put out right now? What should we be doing, and what should we not be doing on immigration?
Well, we have to secure the border first. That until we secure the border, there's not much else we can do. I think then we need to look at taking and being welcoming to the best and the brightest from around the world from a legal immigration standpoint. So we need to repair the H-1B visa system and not bring foreign students into our universities, teach them, train them, educate them, and then send them to other countries to be successful and to start their businesses there.
Okay, so expand immigration, legal immigration, perhaps a green card program, but do it with qualifications. We don't want the least employable, which in essence, I know King got in trouble, but in essence, we have been the repository for the least educated, the least intelligent, and in some cases, the least employable of Mexico to stream across here. The idea that we've got anywhere from 13 to 18 million illegals in here right now, what are you going to do with those people, I guess would be my question to you.
Right. Well, what I'm hearing from Iowans is, why do we have to do anything?
Uh-huh.
They came here illegally. They continue to be here illegally. And, we need to make sure that we prosecute companies that knowingly hire illegal workers.
Oh, okay. Now you're coming around to what I think is a big deal, the E-Verify. If you had a mandatory and efficient E-Verify with some teeth in it when they violate it, you wouldn't have to worry about anything. It would. Mitt Romney referred to it in one way that he got caught up, but they would in essence self-deport, wouldn't they?
Well, we need to make sure that our people that employ a workforce employ a legal workforce. And
right.
E-Verify is one of those tools. What I saw with E-Verify, though, and the real challenge is it only, as it currently stands, it only will tell you whether or not that Social Security number is valid.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw, for example, up in Marshalltown, when I was U.S. Attorney, and we did the SWIFT enforcement, is we had over 600 people that we didn't know who they were, and they were all under a false Social Security.
Social Security. But Matt, if you had the resources and the will, couldn't you amend that? Couldn't you fix that? That I've heard that before, but couldn't you fix it if you really wanted to make sure that it was a more efficient way of quickly determining who was legal and who wasn't?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you do that, and the problem takes care of itself in large part. If they don't have a ready, willing employer that's going to cost shift to the rest of us, they may pay them $7 an hour, cost the rest of us $15 an hour to have that illegal in here.
Right. And what I'm seeing is this is not a Democrat or a Republican issue. And actually, illegal immigrants working in our country is really a blue-collar issue. It could potentially depress wages and have all sorts of things that affect the folks that are doing the hard work, whether it's in the trades or whether it's in our meat packing or otherwise. And so, we need to make sure that in this tough economy, that the jobs are available to our citizens first.
Yes,
and a lot of it has to do with the federal government, making sure that our immigration laws, as they currently stand, are enforced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're asking for no more than that. Again, the good, hardworking, middle-class, blue-collar people would support a legitimate immigration strategy. The conservatives that understand the cost shifting that's going on from an economic standpoint would support it. The other side of the coin, Matt, is the Democrat politicians that want to expand their voter base, and the many of the corporations that want a low-cost labor force that they don't have to provide benefits or anything else. And so those two entities have been conspiring against the rest of this country for too long, I think.
Right. Well, shame on those employers that are exploiting illegal immigrants and, taking advantage of them from an economic standpoint. But, yeah, the politics of it have for some reason swamped the policy of it. And that's what's frustrating for me, as somebody that was trying to enforce these immigration laws for 5.5 years. It's common sense how we do this, and and I don't understand why sort of a blanket. Well, they're going to vote for the Democrats or they're going to do X, Y, or Z. That shouldn't affect the equation of it. We need to enforce our laws. We need to certainly provide a legal path for skilled workers that want to contribute to our economy, and we need to be pro-legal immigration. It's a fundamental sound policy, whether it's people from South America or Mexico or Europe or anywhere else in the world. We need to be inviting and have a dynamic economy, because that's what's really going to get us out of this mess, is growth. And we have to have an immigration policy that makes sense. And right now, it's being exploited by this administration. They're not enforcing the border as well as they could, and they're not doing interior enforcement the way that they should. And so I think that's why I'm meeting Iowans, a lot of Iowans that are just frustrated with what's going on.
Matt Whitaker's on the air with us. We've got our last break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on why he should be your next United States Senator. We're coming back live on KTIA, Iowa.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
Like right now. Name it.
Did you feel anything?
Yeah.
You did?
Some pain, no pain at all.
I was dealing with some back issues due to the depression that I'm in, and right now they're gone.
I have a sickness called Graves' disease, but
Well, hi. My name is Mike Ahmed, and I host the show Bridge the Gap Ministry. Our vision is to bridge the gap between cultures, and what we use the Word of God, and because His riches in that Word and the wisdom is what brings us together. So we learn the Word, we speak the Word, and we practice the Word on this show every Thursday. Don't miss it. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. You know, there's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
10 before the top, Salem Radio Network News, and then Pastor Michael Mudloff with True Blue. On the phone with me is Matt Whitaker, former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Iowa, an attorney himself with his own law firm here in town, and now running for the Senate seat being vacated long overdue by Tom Harkin. Matt, Tom did a good job of asking you a lot of the political questions and the hot buttons. My audience is a conservative Christian audience, and I'd like you to share with them your views on Roe versus Wade and repealing that, or what an abortion law might look like in the future, and, of course, that just ugly topic of gay marriage. Or maybe that doesn't. Maybe that's not in your wheelhouse as a United States Senator. I'd like to get your input on that, though.
Right. Well, let's just go right to the big issues there, Mac. I'm 100% pro-life. If I've read Roe versus Wade, I think its reasoning is flawed. But when Roe versus Wade is repealed, it would then go back to each of the 50 states to be a political issue for those folks to deal with. So it essentially federalized the issue of life. But I'm 100% pro-life. And on marriage, I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. But I also think that really that's a state-by-state issue.
Yeah, once again, that should be.
The thing that drives me nuts, Mac, is I believe it's a state-by-state issue for the voters to decide, not the courts.
Right, but every time a state like California steps in and votes on it, you've got some activist judge who decides that what the people say, it shouldn't be the law.
No, I mean, I think we have, for some reason, allowed the courts to take over a lot of these issues that are clearly reserved to the people. And
yeah, I would agree.
But a lot of that is just the courage of our legislative class to address that by representing the people and voting for what they believe. And so a lot of our, kind of the tough issues of the day have been completely offloaded to the courts, which is never, it was supposed to be the inferior branch. It was never supposed to decide these big, important issues.
And that's how we got, Obamacare. We came up one vote short in the Supreme Court. We thought that we had it stopped there, and we lost because one guy we thought was conservative flipped over and found a way to call it a tax and support it. It's how we got gay marriage in Iowa, one of the first states in the union. It's not because the people wanted or would have voted for it. It's because we had an activist Iowa Supreme Court, which some of them were held accountable and booted out after that for it. But this is an ongoing problem for us in not only in the state of Iowa, but all over the country. Activist judges, activist courts that take social engineering to a height that the regular people would not.
Right. Well, and they take clauses in Constitution that were never meant to address the issues that they then apply them to. And we let them get away with it. And then, like you said, in Iowa, we did vote the 3 judges out that were up for retention as a sign that the voters of Iowa disagreed with that. But I mean, our legislature can't seem to do anything.
Well, and we've had candidates on here before, Matt, and we ask them questions on these fundamental issues. And we had one Desmond that ran for the Senate seat against Charles Schneider.
Desmond Howard, I think.
Yes, and couldn't get him to answer the question of where life begins. Because I think they know if they ever answer that question, then they have to stand up and protect it. And so they really run from that answer. But I will tell you that I've now met all of my grandkids before they're born. And I think the advancing technology in this country with the sonograms, people know. That's why the pro-life case holds a lot stronger today than it did 20 or 30 years ago. If you start asking questions, most people know that that's not unviable tissue mass now. They know that's a life in the womb, and they know that it's worth and it's important because our nation stands on the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and that is life that needs to be protected.
Well, and Tom, I mean, we sometimes as Republicans are painted as the and it's not true, but sometimes that we aren't we don't believe in science for some reason because we believe in God.
Yeah.
And what does science tell us that where life begins? Science tells us when the DNA combines that is life. I mean, it's funny that these people want to say, well, God didn't create the universe; it was some oozing mass of carbon. That when then these DNA strands started combining, and that I mean, science tells us when life begins.
Right.
Well, Matt, I sure appreciate you spending some time with us today, especially with your busy schedule on the road. You are obviously welcome in this studio with either one of us at any time. And if I can help you in any way with video production to get messages out via social media, we'll come down here and we'll put some great stuff together for you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Tom, Mac, it's good talking to you guys. You're both great patriots, great friends, great conservatives, and I enjoy knowing you.
Yeah, same with you. I love you, brother. You be good.
Yeah,
Say hi to those 3 beautiful kids and that wonderful wife of yours. We'll see you soon.
I will. All right, thank you.
You bet. Matt Whitaker on the phone, on the road, running for United States Senate. I just think, you just think about this, Tom. Mm-hmm. It is the 6th of August. Mm-hmm. And his primary is 5, 6, 7, 8 months away, right?
Well,
9 months away.
11 months away.
June 3rd.
12 months away. I mean, 10 months away. 10
Yeah.
months away. We'll get our math down here. 10 months away. But yeah, they've got to start early. And I think if somebody realistically doesn't get into this race by fall, I think it's probably too late. And I think Matt has got the name recognition. He's got the credentials. You know, from our standpoint, he stands on the conservative principles. I heard nothing in his comments today that would dissuade me from supporting the Matt Whitaker campaign, even in the primaries. And a lot of times we're loath to get involved in primaries. I think it's, it's dicey to get involved in primaries. This fellow from over there in Council Bluffs, this Sam, I can't remember his last, Clovis, an impressive sounding fellow too. I've heard him be interviewed a couple times. So I think he'll have his hands full with that. I don't know about some of the others, but we know Matt, we like Matt, and at this point we could easily support Matt.
Yeah, and I trust him.
Yeah.
Just even if we disagreed with something, I think Matt would, tell you the truth. And
you and I don't agree on everything.
We don't?
Well, we didn't used to. You came around to seeing the light on some things.
Don't remind me that I voted for Culver. Don't remind me of that. All right, Tom and I will be back next week. Akeo will be back in as we continue our conversation on racism in Iowa and what do we do about it. I'll see you then. Until I see you again, do me a favor. Pray. Pray for those that serve us in this country, that God will find them, hold them close, and have them do the right thing.